are doing their lawn work. Yeah, I won't be able to see the book. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chandra Baba Girivaradhari Gopi Chandra Baba Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Praja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Praja Jana Ranjana Natira Vanachari Natira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading today from Srimad-bhagavatam, 9th Canto, chapter 24, text 58. Chapter is called Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yanmaya cheshtitam pumsa Svityupatyapyayahi Anugrahastan nivritter. Atma labhaya cheshyate. Yadmaya cheshtitam pumsa. Stityupatyapyayahi. Anugrahastanivritter. Atma labhaya cheshtate. Yadmaya cheshtitam pumsa. Stityupatyapyayahi. Anugrahastanivritter. Atma bhavaya cheshyate. Yadmaya cheshtitam pumsa. Nityupatyapyayahi. Anugrahastanivritter. Atma bhavaya cheshyate. Yadmaya cheshtitam pumsa. Sityupatyapayayate. Anugrahastanivritter. Atma labhaya cheshyate. Yadmaya cheshtitam pumsa. Stityupatyapyayahi. Anugrahastanivritter. Yadmaya cheshtate. Yadmaya cheshtitam pumsa. Sityupatyapyayahi. Anugrahastanivritter. Atma labhaya cheshyate. Word for word. Yat, whatever. Maya cheshtitam. The laws of material nature enacted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pumsaha, of the living entities. Sthiti, duration of life. Utpatti, birth. Apyayaya, annihilation. He, indeed. Anugraha, compassion. Tat nivritehe, the creation and manifestation of cosmic energy to stop the repetition of birth and death. Atmalabhyaya, thus going home back to Godhead. Cha, indeed. Ishate, for this purpose the creation is there. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead acts through his material energy in the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this cosmic manifestation. Just to deliver the living entity by his compassion and stop the living entity's birth, death, and duration of materialistic life. Thus, he enables the living being to return home back to Godhead. Repeat after me. The Supreme Personality of Godhead acts through his material energy in the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this cosmic manifestation, just to deliver the living entity by his compassion and stop the living entity's birth, death, and duration of materialistic life. Thus, he enables the living entity to return, living being to return back home, back to Godhead. So, Srila Prabhupada's purport. Materialistic men sometimes ask why God has created the material world for the suffering of the living entities. The material creation is certainly meant for the suffering of the conditioned souls who are part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed by the Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, verse 7. Mamangsha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manasasyani indriyani prakritisani karshati. Quote, the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. End quote. All the living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are as good as the Lord qualitatively. But quantitatively, there is a great difference between them. For the Lord is unlimited, whereas the living entities are limited. Thus, the Lord possesses unlimited potency for pleasure, and the living entities. Thus, the Lord possesses unlimited potency for pleasure, and the living entities have a limited pleasure potency. Anandamaya Vyasat, from the Vedanta Sutra 1.1.12. Both the Lord and the living entity, being qualitatively spirit soul, have a tendency for peaceful enjoyment. But when the part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead unfortunately wants to enjoy independently without Krishna, he is put into the material world where he begins his life as Brahma and is gradually degraded to the status of an ant or a worm in stool. This is called Mana Shashtani Indriyani Prakritistani Karshati. There is a great struggle for the existence because the living entity is a living entity conditioned by material nature, is under nature's full control. Prakriti Priyamanandi Punai Pramani Sarva Shaha. Because of his limited knowledge, however, the living entity thinks he is enjoying in this material world. Manas Shashtani Indriyani Prakritistani Karshati. He is actually under the control of the material nature, but still he thinks himself independent. Ahankara Vimudatma Kartaham. iti manyate. Even when he is elevated by the speculative knowledge and tries to merge into the existence of Brahman, the same disease continues. Aruya Krishnena Paran Padam Tata Ajan Yada Srimad-bhagavatam 10th Canto, 2nd chapter, 32nd verse. Even having attained that Paran Padam, having merged into the impersonal Brahman, he falls down again to this material world. In this way, the conditioned soul undergoes a great struggle for existence in this material world, and therefore the Lord, out of compassion for him, appears in this world and instructs him. Thus the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 7, Yada yada hidharmasya karnir bhavati bharata abhyuttana vadharmasya tadatmanam shujamyaham. Quote, whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. End quote. The real dharma is to surrender unto Krishna, but the rebellious living entity, instead of surrendering to Krishna, engages in adharma and a struggle for existence to become like Krishna. Therefore, out of compassion, Krishna creates this material world to give the living entity a chance to understand his real position. Bhagavad Gita and similar Vedic literatures are presented so that the living being may understand his relationship with Krishna. Vedaishta Sarvara Aham Eva Veja, chapter 15, verse 5 of Bhagavad Gita. All these Vedic literatures are meant to enable the living being to understand what he is, what his actual position is, and what his relationship is with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called Brahma Jigyasa. Every conditioned soul is struggling. The human life provides the best chance for him to understand his position. Therefore, this verse says, Anugrahastan Nivrite, indicating that the false life of repeated birth and death must be stopped, and the conditioned souls should be educated. This is the purpose of creation. The creation does not arise whimsically, as atheistic men think. Asatyaham apratishtante jagat ahur anishwaram aparaspara sambuddham king anyat kama haitikam. They say that this world is unreal and therefore is no foundation, and that there is no God in control. It is produced of sex, desire, and has no cause other than lust. This is demonic mentality, chapter 16, verse 8. Atheistic rascals think that there is no God and that the creation has taken place by chance, just as a man and woman meet by chance, and the woman becomes pregnant and gives birth to a child. Actually, however, this is not a fact. The fact is that there is a purpose for this creation, to give the conditioned soul a chance to return to his original consciousness, Krishna consciousness, and then return home back to Godhead and be completely happy in spiritual life. But at the same time, he is informed by Vedic knowledge that this material world is not his actual place for happiness. Chapter 13, verse 9. One must stop the repetition of birth and death. Every human being, therefore, should take advantage of this creation by understanding Krishna and his relationship with Krishna, and in this way return home back to Godhead. So there's a lot of knowledge in this purport, enough for several classes. So we'll try to speak a little something here. So the first question that people bring up, so people wonder about, is what is the, does this universe have any purpose? You know, because Srila Prabhupada would always, he would preach very heavily against the atheistic scientific sciences. And it's not that there's no science in Krishna consciousness. Srimad-bhagavatam is full of science. In fact, that Krishna consciousness is itself a science. It's the science of Bhakti Yoga, nectar devotion, the complete science of Bhakti Yoga. So we have a science, a spiritual science. What Srila Prabhupada preached against was not science per se, but the atheistic mentality and the atheistic conclusions of the materialistic scientists. So, and unfortunately, in this basically we were taught from early on, even if we taught that, okay, you believe in God, but the teachings in school, there's no mention of God. In fact, it was at one point, maybe still is not allowed to speak about God in school, and pray in school, but in a regular public schools anyway. But the teachings as far as science, physics, and all the other sciences that might be taught in school from early on till all the way through college are basically atheistic, because there's every explanation about why things happen the way they do and how to solve the problems of life are all based on the what we can figure out. And basically, the mood is that there is no God. It's basically the mood in the scientific community. Even someone believes in God, they don't outright come right out and say that. At least the materialistic people don't come out and say that, because, and that's why Srila Prabhupada, he spoke against the atheistic scientists. There were two main points that Srila Prabhupada always criticized in that sense. What were those points regarding scientists? Huh? That's part of it. But anyone else? The two main points that Srila Prabhupada always argued against in terms of material sciences is the mentality that life came from some combination of matter, and that the universe just came about somehow on its own without any any supreme control, without any God. because material science is to try to show how everything happens and everything can be not seen, everything can be fixed ultimately without any God. So therefore, there's no God. We killed God. You know. And then Srila Prabhupada also, actually, in the Sri Upanishad, and the Srila Prabhupada applies his purports in the Sri Upanishad, also explains a very important point, and that is that first verse, this is the first verse, the invocation verse. Om Purnamana Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasha Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. That the personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and everything emanating from Him is also perfect and complete. So God is perfect and He's complete, and everything He created is perfect and complete. That means He's created the material world too, the material universe. Actually, universes. Most people don't. The universe means everything for most people, but we understand many universes. But in any case, God, Krishna, He has created the universe, and so we say it's perfect and it's complete. So, but someone may argue that they don't have a philosophical understanding, Krishna conscious philosophical understanding. They may argue that the material world, how is it perfect? It's here. There's so many problems. There's in the summer it's hot, and mosquitoes like to bite. It's mosquito season now. Or the winter, some places it becomes extraordinarily cold. There's so much disease. There's so much, many problems, social problems. So many things go on in the material world. I say, this doesn't sound like a perfect place to me. Certainly not the perfect place I'd like to be. So you think, why? How if it says that God has created everything and is perfect and is complete, how is that possible? And the answer is yes. There is a purpose for the world. Because first of all, why are we here? We are here in the material world because we are bad citizens of the spiritual world. So you get thrown in jail. This is the jail, the big jail, and this jail is very special because by the time you get out of this jail, you're a good citizen. It doesn't really work so well in the materialistic jails. Since you come out, you're worse than you were when you went in. You got some bad association and like that. But in the material universe jail, but by the time you get out, which may take millions and billions of lifetimes, but by the time you get out, you don't make a mistake, and you go back to the spiritual world, and you don't make any mistakes, and you're a good person after that. So in that sense, the material, the purpose of the universe, one of the purposes of the universe is that we come here and we want to enjoy separately from God. Actually, we want to be God. Why is Krishna getting all this attention? Immediately we're here. Okay, now you can be Krishna. We pretend to be, and we try to enjoy. And it says, Srila Prabhupada wrote in the purport here, actually, that our first birth in this material world is what? Or Brahma. Yes, actually our first birth. So or Brahma is the biggest, most powerful, most intelligent person in the universe. And somehow we take birth as Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma's body his body is actually made of intelligence. It's a material element, intelligence. So Lord Brahma is very smart. But he's also, the Lord Brahma, because he's very smart, he can either use his intelligence in a very good way, become fully Krishna conscious, or he can use his intelligence in another way and utilize all his power and enjoy like anything, which is usually what happens, because after Lord Brahma, most Lord Brahmas and most universes eventually become entangled in the material world completely, and become so entangled they go way down to the bottom to become a worm or something like that, and have to suffer for many millions and billions of lifetimes. But still, there's that opportunity to get out after that one birth. There's that opportunity. So Lord Brahma, he is. So the living entity, I'm saying, we come here to enjoy, and we have an opportunity to try to enjoy, and if we don't get out in our first birth, then it may take a long time, and gradually up and down the different species of life. Eventually we'll come to a human form of life again, and eventually we'll get some pious results, spiritual pious results, and get a chance to come and associate and in contact with devotees and so on, and then we're ready to become Krishna conscious. And so part of the completeness of the universe, part of the completeness is something else. Lord Krishna already knows that we're going to get frustrated in due course of time, and we're going to want something better than just gross material sense gratification. So he's already sent his pure devotees, the acharyas, his representatives, and he's also already sent the Vedas from the beginning. It's there. So when we, the living entities in human bodies, get the desire, develop the desire for something higher than materialistic life, then of course we can Lord Krishna from within the heart, he directs us to the spiritual master and to the Vedas. He gives us the opportunity to become Krishna conscious. So that way, the universe is there to help us to change our mentality, and then of course, eventually we become follow the path of Krishna consciousness. Eventually we get initiated. So Srila Prabhupada says at the time of the first initiation, at the time of the first initiation, the spiritual master accepts or takes away the karma of the disciple, which is a very big thing. No karma. But then we may wonder, well, if I got initiated, I don't have any karma, so I should be like, I shouldn't have any problem in this world. I could be really happy and enjoy, and no problems, because there's no karma. So why do we? I can say for myself, and there's always challenges, there's always difficulties. The material world's always complicated, even practicing Krishna consciousness. So why? If there's no karma, why do devotees also suffer? Yeah.
For the example of the plant is without out, they still continue to spin a little bit, but ultimately it should stop spinning. You have to do one drop the electric fan. So when the karma is taken away, it seems like it's one problem. But a little bit of crowding, is still going on, but ultimately it will stop. I don't know.
Yes, that's there. Also, Krishna could take that away too immediately, but that little bit of, not actually karma that's there, but Krishna's taking first direct charge of us to help the devotees to become Krishna conscious. So what happens is he takes away by the initiation, the spiritual master is actually taking away all that actual karma. So we don't have karma after that. But what we do have, what we have not given up, is our materialistic mentality that got us entangled in the material world in the first place. That doesn't immediately go away, just the reactions to it. So the reactions go away, but the mentality is still there. That's why we struggle. We're trying to become Krishna conscious. So because of that, we have to go on for as long as we go on, suffering in different ways, so that we will become until we become fully Krishna conscious, and then we become free from that materialistic mentality. Materialistic, the karma from it's gone, but the materialistic mentality still has to be purified, because that requires our own free will. We have to act on that. So in that way, anyway, this is all part of the explanation. The universe is perfect and complete. So now we who are listening to this class anyway are on the path of Krishna consciousness. We are everyone who's here anyway is initiated. So still we suffer in some ways, but that suffering will be gradually stopped, because we'll gradually finish up this material body and we'll go back home, back to the spiritual world. And the mentality, the materialistic mentality, that is what has to be purified, and is being purified by everything that we do on the path of Krishna consciousness. That materialistic mentality is gradually getting purified. So. And regarding I mentioned the science, the materialistic sciences. So it's interesting. Materialistic science is a problem, but Srila Prabhupada, of course, he established within ISKCON, he engaged his devotees who had disciples who had some scientific background, but had become devotees, engaged them in a very, very important topic, and that is in scientific terms, using scientific methods, proving that we are spirit soul, that consciousness is not a byproduct of matter, and actually it can go quite deep if you get into that subject. And so Prabhupada wanted that so that the materialistic, he preached to the materialistic scientists. He said that most materialistic scientists will probably not accept it, because it's part of the, it's really very difficult to just throw out everything that you've studied up until that point. But the Srila Prabhupada said even if one or two or a few of those materialistic scientists become Krishna conscious, then that'll be very good. And the people in general give a lot of respect to those materialistic scientists. They give a lot of respect. Because of the people, because of the material sciences, if you're going to school and you want to study practically anything, or a lot of subjects, you have to accept these materialistic principles of science. If you're in that kind of field, And unfortunately, many people, even if they have a religious background, by the time they finish the university, they very often give up their even belief in God. Uh, uh, Hopefully, no devotee will that will happen, because we have a philosophical understanding, and that's why also we say. Um, Prabhupada always quoted his spiritual master, saying that religion without philosophy is what? Sentiment. And sometimes becomes fanaticism. Sometimes. And philosophy without religion is what? Mental speculation. Yes. So 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 both things have to be there. Religion has to be there, and the philosophical understanding why we do what we do in religious practice have to be there. And in Krishna consciousness, we have both. Many times there's difficulty if you're following some other path, Christianity or Judaism or any of them. There is the religion is there, the rules are there, the desire, the purpose of, they say, love, the goal of religion is to love God. That's there, but many times there's confusion because there's no real philosophical understanding behind it, and so the religion, so because there's no philosophical principles behind most religions, then it becomes very difficult sometimes to apply those religions, those principles. Just like someone might be. It's hard to speak about other religions now. Shouldn't, but the philosophy and the religious principles have to be there. And philosophy without religion is mental speculation, because philosophy, if you have philosophy and the goal of that philosophy is not developing a personal relationship with God, if you're not able to develop, if it does not lead you to developing a personal relationship with God, then it's mental speculation, because the actual purpose of religion is to develop love of God. So if you have a philosophy, I say Mayavad philosophy, you have the Mayavad philosophy or some philosophy, and if your purpose of that philosophy is not that you surrender to God, then it's just mental speculation. And the religion without the philosophical understanding is just sentiment, because you're just following the rules and regulations, but you don't understand why you're doing what you're doing. So anyway, there's just a couple of points. There's a lot of things in this report that we don't really have time for, because it's time now. Any questions or comments? Okay, so we're in for today. Srimad-bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada